Hello, YouTube. I'm just signing into. I always have to do YouTube. Oh, my hair's a mess. I always have to do YouTube first because it sometimes fails. So I don't start with TikTok. My big audience is on TikTok. That's why I'm always looking up there. I'm not really on YouTube. I'll get more into that one day when I get more time. Okay. Set up here. Okay, hello. Hello. Bree, that looks familiar. M, you've been here before. Most people are regulars, I would say. Okay, so I'm just looking at all your names. Anyway, while we're waiting, I'd love to hear where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Gorgeous sunny day here. I'll be on my bike later on. I love cycling, but I'm no good in rain. I only cycle in good weather. So Beaumont, California. Which I don't even know where that is. Beaumont, California. California, where's that? Let me see, Nashville. Hello, Nashville. Beaumont, California. So I'm just looking it up. Just curious. Southern California, okay. McCleary, Washington. McCleary. Dorsten, Germany. I don't know if I've been to Dorsten. I was there. I was in Germany in 1980, and we were there for Oktoberfest. Scranton, Pennsylvania. New Zealand, Abbotsford, BC. We traveled on those old trains, and they were like dirt soot would come out of them, and we would hang out the window a lot, and all of our nostrils were just full of soot. Probably not good for the lungs. Anyway, oh, I see where Beaumont is. Oh, okay. Okay, I was just curious. Okay, Ashland, Ohio. My 3-year-old. Trying to figure out if I should do one-on-one coaching or the course. Okay, so the coaching is for if you just have normal problems, but you're thinking, well, what's normal? Or if you don't even have any problems and just want to set yourself up as a leader so you can sail through the later years. So that's what the course is for. But some people have actually, actually a lot of people just went on the one-on-one coaching. If you want the personal stuff, that's more nurturing, more one-on-one, more private. And also if it's crisis work, like big stuff, then that would be one-on-one coaching. But otherwise, just normal parenting stuff, tantrums, school, bullying, chores, stuff like that, setting you up as a leader. That's what the course is all about. And the group coaching is great. Is this not a question live? Yes, it's a live question thing. Is this not a live question thing? Some people ask that because I guess I talk a lot about stuff and then say, is this not for questioning? Yeah, it is. It's called a parenting Q&A, but I can talk about whatever I want because it's my phone here and I'm talking about whatever I want. Any advice on being consistent? Yeah, just be consistent. It works. That's all. But you pick your battles. If you're having a hard time being consistent, just pick one rule to be consistent with. A lot of parents, they go in full force. It's like when you diet, you just go crazy. Okay, I'm only going to have like an apple a day, and you go, it's too much. So you just pick, maybe you just cut out sugars or something, and maybe you just pick one rule. You start small. Habit is about building, like starting small. You don't do everything in one day. So start small. When I used to, are you retired? No, I work. This is my work. I don't get paid for this, but this is my business. I'm 62, so I'll never retire. To me, that would be death. I love what I do. I was just going to say something. Sugar, what the heck was it? Anyway, I've decided, this wasn't it, but anyway, I've decided what I'm going to do with the toddler stuff. I'm just going to test out a couple of different things. It's going to be on my website in the next couple of days, and it's going to be called Toddler Talk. And we're just going to be talking about toddlers. And I'm just going to be talking. You're going to be asking me questions. It's just like this, but it's going to be on Zoom. And I'm going to be charging for that. So it's going to be like group coaching. So I'm just going to feel you out and see what you want from me with toddlers. Because I know that a lot of you have toddlers and you have a lot of questions. And you think you're the only ones who toddlers are driving you nuts. Well, you're not. So anyway, I'm going to set that up in the next couple of days. It'll be on my website, but I'll talk about it leading. I'll do a video on that. So, but I'm just going to feel you out and see what you want from me, because I know that you probably do want more support with toddlers, right? Okay. You skipped my question. I skip a lot of questions because they flip through, and going back, I get dizzy. So you just have to keep asking and all. Or sometimes I just choose not to answer. If it's something that I like, if there's a lot of the same type of stuff, I'll pass through it. Or if I want to mix up the ages, I might see an older kid question come up. So I'll answer that instead. So yeah, I don't catch them all. I remember once the biggest number I ever had on a live at one time was 26,000 people on a live. And I was trying to read, and I was brand new at doing these lives. It was scary. It'd be scary now too, but it was like, oh my God. I kept looking up at the number and I was freaking out. It was hilarious. Okay. I want to know what that's all about. The toddler one, yeah, it's just going to be group coaching. It's going to be, I don't know, if only one person turns up for it, it'll be one-on-one coaching. It's going to be like probably $50, and I'm just going to do one at a time. And you can keep signing up if you want. I'll have all different dates out, probably 3 a week, and I'm just going to test it out and see how you like it. And then, hopefully I'll get several people on at once so you can see each other. And then you get a chance to talk about what you're going through. Anyway, or what can I do to help? Or what can I do to help? Oh, what does my 2-year-old wake up in the middle of the night whining? Or what can I do to help? Yeah, just say you're okay and just pat her on the back and then just leave. I don't know why she's doing that. Did she just start doing that? And yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. If she just started doing that. So I have a 4.5-year-old and he just doesn't stay still. Any advice? I can't sit still either. I finished menopause and I came out hyperactive. I don't know what happened. But yeah, I can't sit still either. So is that a bad thing? Maybe get the fidget toys perhaps. Those things with the bubbles that you pop. It's like the popping packing stuff. What's that called? Bubble paper? Whatever. Bubble wrap? Bubble wrap. Get those toys, like, you can actually buy stuff like that. That's what one of my clients, they had a kid who could not, my son he always had a pencil. He was always doing this or tapping his foot. He's like that too, fidgety. And so yeah, maybe get the fidget toys. I actually had a client who they got permission from the teacher because this kid was highly fidgety. And they got permission for him to have one of those quiet fidget toys. So it couldn't be anything that made any sound, but he was the only one in the class that was allowed to do that. He got like some clearance for it or something. But yeah, some of us are just more fidgety than others. Yeah, I wasn't until I went through menopause. I don't know why. Came out the other end all hyperactive. And calm as that. I'm very calm too. I came out calm, but I can't sit still. But emotionally calm, but physically hyperactive. Go figure. Old lady stuff. Poppets, yeah. Yeah, I think we call it bubble wrap too, poppets. But yeah, those little things but some of them make noise and they drive you nuts. Okay. How to go about a toddler who's showing aggression and sadness to me when I have to tend to the baby? They just get used to it. How can you possibly expect them to relate to give up all this power that they had and all this love and because this other person? It would be like, let's say your husband or your wife comes up with a new boyfriend or girlfriend. Oh, by the way, you're going to be sharing from now on. It would take some adjusting, wouldn't it? So it's kind of like that. It's not the same, but you get my idea. It's like all of a sudden, how can they possibly relate to that? To what this new baby's going to do? Years ago, obviously, because my kid's 33 now. But when he was 2 years old, he had this other little friend. And they were both very passive little boys, like not the least bit aggressive. And the other mom, and we used to get together a lot. And the other mom had a new baby. And this little boy, her little boy, was 2 years old. Very passive, sweet little boy. Both of our little boys were very gentle. And anyway, her son picked up the newborn and threw her on the floor. He did not want that newborn around. So it can bring out the ugly in all of us. Yeah. So yeah, it's just keep the baby away from, just deal with it. They'll get over it. They will get over it. It's just a stage. They'll get used to it. 3-year-old son smacks his face and says, ow, and cries after when we tell him he can't do something. Oh, so he doesn't get his own way. So he attacks himself. Yeah, they're going to do that. Maybe just hold him, say no. And, if he's going to slap himself, grab his hand and say, no, you don't do that. And, but yeah, it's just a way of trying to manipulate you. That's all it is. But you don't want them to hurt themselves or hurt anyone else or damage property. So you have to physically restrain them. If he's going to be, slapping himself silly, just restrain him and say, no, you don't do that. But don't give in. Don't give whatever you said no to, don't give him that to stop it. That it sort of says to me that must have worked in the past. You must have, you can't have this ice cream. And he whacks himself. Okay, here you can have it. Says to me that that's a learned behavior at 3, not at 2, but at 3. So, how to transition 2-year-old to stop co-sleeping. Yeah, co-sleeping, you kind of make your bed, now you're lying in it, right? I did that with my daughter. She was, I think, 8 months old. And then I got her in her own bed. It was just one really rough night. I think she didn't cry. She wasn't a crier really, but she was very restless for the first night. And, but yeah, you just got to put them in their own bed, and then you keep putting them back and say, no, it's okay. Go to bed the first time. And then every time after that, you just don't even talk to them. You just keep putting them in their bed. If they're really little, like, and you go from co-sleeping to sleeping alone, you can sit in a chair in the dark beside them and you can put your hand on the bed, but you don't let them crawl into your lap, and you pretend you're nodding off. Don't talk to them or look at them. Just pretend you're nodding off. So you're still there. It's a tough one, co-sleeping to sleeping alone with your 2. So yeah, that's what you can do. That's the most I would do, was sit beside them, not on the bed. So, and every time they crawl in your lap, you say no, and you put them back in bed, and then pretend like you're just nodding off. Okay. They're going to get so bored with you, they'll just fall asleep. Any advice? Oh, you're going to hate my answer. Sorry, Lacey. Any advice on a toddler? 3. It's not a toddler. Toddlers are 3 and 4 is a preschooler with emotional dysregulation. There is no such thing, really. Like, I don't know who came up with that. But anyway, 0 to 10 at the snap of a finger. Yeah, they do that. Sort of says that he's used to getting his own way. It must have worked. When they escalate like that, like if you're a calm leader, they don't do that. They're more regulated. Because you're regulated. You're teaching them, right? So it sort of says to me, either you do that or it works and he gets his own way. So either you go from 0 to 100, which is where he's learned it, or he's learned that works and it gets him what he wants. There's got to be some payoff for that. So yeah, it's not emotional dysregulation, it's learned behavior. 4-year-old always wants to be first, even pushes in front of 2-year-old to be first. Yeah, well, make sure that if he does that, you say no, and then you give the 2-year-old whatever they wanted. The 2-year-old gets to go first for sure. So yeah, consequences. Well, 4-year-old still wants me to sit with her until she's asleep. Well, I don't know how to answer that. So, like, if you don't want to sit there, then just train them that you're not going to. Like um, just because they want something doesn't mean you're going to do it. So who's in charge here is what I'm saying. Are they in charge or are you in charge? They want you to sit there. Yeah. If I didn't want to sit there, there's no way I'd be sitting there. So yeah, that just says that they're in charge. I'm not going to answer that question. I'm considering actually deleting it. It's so vile. Um, how is my son smacking himself learned behavior? Because it must have worked in the past. If you weren't correcting that under the age of 3, it must have worked in the past. You must have been upset by it. You must be feeding it somehow. Because at 3, they generally stop doing that. Generally. Your advice is great, but I gotta run. uh, 4-year-old doesn't respect other people's boundaries, not sure how to stop them. I would need a very specific example of that because I don't know what you mean. Does he talk over people or is he push his way through? Is it physical? Is it verbal? I don't know what you mean. My teenagers bully my toddler. How do I stop? I don't know what you mean by bullying. Is it physical? Like it's too broad of a question. Are they just being nasty to the 2-year-old? But I would put down on there, stop being mean to your toddler. Put that on the behavior board, and then there's got to be a consequence. They have to do something nice for the toddler, like play a game with them, read a book to them, or something. But I don't know what's going on there. That's unusual for teenagers to do that, so I don't know what's going on there. Usually, teenagers wouldn't bully a toddler, and a toddler is a 1 and a 2-year-old. A 3 and a 4-year-old is a preschooler. So, I think a lot of us would pay $50 Zoom. Yeah, I'm going to test that out. We'll see how many people sign up. A lot of people say they want something and then I'll put it out there and they don't. So I'll just test it out. That's what I do. That's what I did with my course. I tested that out to see how that would go. Yeah, I'm just testing it at this point. Because wouldn't it feel good to see other parents? I mean, this is fine, but to actually see them and talking and hearing what other parents are going through with toddlers, because you're new parents, right? So yeah, toddlers can drive you nuts because they're all feet, no brains. Cute as a button, but there's nothing going on up there yet. They're one marble and some tumbleweed. Okay, that's too big of a question, but I'll go back to this other one first. My 2.5-year-old does not sleep well, gets out of bed and has massive meltdowns. Help. Okay, if he's getting out of bed, you got to keep putting him back. That's the bedtime battles is what I call that. The first time he gets out of bed, you put him back to bed and you say, I said it's bedtime. The second time you say bedtime. Every time after that, there's no eye contact and no words, nothing. You're just calm and slow. Put him back to bed. Are they kicking and screaming and only one part of their body is actually touching the mattress because they're having a fit? That's fine. Just make that one part of their body touch the mattress. Calmly start to walk away. Don't let them get past the threshold, the doorway. But don't stop them. Just as soon as they go towards that doorway, then pick them up and put them back in. Your arms are going to be sore. It's going to be one night of sheer hell, but it's worth it. It's called bedtime battles. The funniest story I ever heard with this was probably 15 years ago now, was this dad, they decided to do, because I always say that's how you handle keeping them in bed. And I said, it's usually one night of hell. The worse that night is, the less likely they are to ever get up again. Anyway, this dad said, okay, we'll do it. And him and his wife decided to open up a bottle of wine. And they were just going to do this. It was only going to be an hour or two, right? And they were just going to have some wine. This kid was an older kid, 5 or 6 years old, kept getting out of bed. And they went till 5 o'clock in the morning. And the dad was so drunk, they opened up several bottles of wine at this point. Dad was drinking most of it and cursing me. He said all he did was curse out me and drink. And he was like bouncing off the walls, getting this kid back to bed. And the mom had to take over and the dad went and passed out. And that kid never got up again, not once, not any other night. That was it. One night of sheer hell. It was funny. Now, this was the big question I said I didn't want to answer because it's too big. When can you start disciplining a child? What age is appropriate? I would say about 10 months old. If they were, and I'll tell you why, if they start to hit someone or do something like this, you never want to say no to the point where it upsets them. You want this reaction. You don't want to upset them. You just say a real slow, low no. And you just take their hand. If they hit someone, you say no. Very, very, very gently. You never want to make them cry, but you want to engage that leadership stuff. It starts then. It's that leadership. No. And then you look away and then you're just calm and then you just go back to normal. Okay. They're going to keep. And then I remember once years and years ago, I was looking after this baby. It was either 8 or 10 months old. I think it was even 8 months old. And I discussed this. One of my clients is a child psychologist. So I said, what happened there? I said, I didn't think an 8-month-old could learn this, but this 8-month-old, I had 2 babies I was looking after and they were about 8 months old. And this one was a biter. Some of them just are. Okay. Bit the other kid's head. And then I said, no. And it happened and they kept going to bite and bite. And I kept saying, no, no. And then the next time he went to bite, he stopped and looked at me and then didn't bite again. It was like 8 months old. And the psychiatrist said, it's a different way of learning, but it's just like a knee-jerk reaction. So, but that is still exercising leadership. I was very consistent. I was correcting it every single time, but I didn't want to pull him away from the other baby. I wanted to keep correcting it. That's one thing I did different. I think a lot of parents might have just pulled it away. It was just 2 kids. It wasn't my kids. It was someone else's. This is years and years ago. And, but yeah, I wanted to keep correcting it and it worked. And so 8 months old, but you see how it's done? It's very, very gentle. And then when they're get a little bit older, by the up to about 16 months, if they're having a fit and tantruming, I'd be more inclined to pick them up rather than let them lay there and have a fit, because they might bang their head on the floor or something. So you pick them up facing away from you and hold the back of their head so they can't headbutt you. You're protecting them and you. And then just walk around as if you don't even know they're there. You're still ignoring them, but you don't even know they're there. You're just walking around until they start to calm down. But yeah, you can start disciplining when they're babies, but it's very, very gentle, a lot of eye contact, and you look very serious when you're doing it. My daughter, my God, she was so sensitive. Like I couldn't even frown in front of her, and it didn't even matter. She was in the shopping cart one day, and I never forgot this. It was the weirdest thing. She was really little. She was just sitting up in the shopping cart, like she was that little. And I was frowning because I was trying to read my shopping list or something, and I was frowning. And she looked all worried, and she reached up and held my cheeks with her little hands, and her chin was quivering. She couldn't stand anything negative looking. You always had to look happy with her. She was very upset when other people looked upset, like, wow, they're so clued in. They're much more clued in than you think they are. But anyway, so you had discipline at a very young age, but it's done very, very carefully, very, very, very carefully. You never want to make them cry. I'm just nervous to start disciplining too late. Oh, by the time they're like 2 and up on their feet, you should be full into it. It's consistent corrective actions. It's not words. Consistent corrective actions. You say no, and then you take a toy away if they've hit with it or something. But you never want them to cry because you scared them. It's okay that they cry because you took that weapon away from them. Okay? You see, when they're 2, it's okay for them to cry because they just lost that toy that they used to hurt other people with. That's okay. Yeah, good question. Is it our job as parents to constantly take them outside 5 times a week and constantly fill their day up? No, it's not. I taught my kids how to be okay with being bored too. Like, in other words, you got to learn to entertain yourselves. I had a lot of stuff around the house. We did go out every day and do stuff. My kids from a very young age were at the gym daycare every day because I worked out every day. So and that was their social life. And then after that, we'd go and maybe do an activity. But then they also had to learn how to entertain themselves. And once both my kids had said this, they must have heard some other kids say it because they never whined like that. I just wouldn't have tolerated it. But my son was probably about 5 years old, and he said to me, must have been at a friend's house and heard this. He said, "I'm bored," in that tone of voice too, like real snotty tone of voice, whining. "I'm bored." And I said, "Oh, my precious angel, come with, I don't want you to be bored. Come with mommy." He started looking scared because he knew me. He knew he'd crossed a line. So I took him in the laundry room, filled up a bucket, and gave him a mop. He never said he was bored ever again. My daughter, 5 years later, did the exact same thing. "I'm bored." And my son started laughing. Sure enough, filled up. She never said it again. So yeah, it's okay that they learn how to entertain themselves. It's not your job to like do juggling for them. You're not a circus act. So you got to fulfill their needs. Like their needs are, they do need some physical activity. They do need some arts and crafts or something creative. They do need just to be able to sit quietly and read a book sometimes. But yeah, my kids never said they were bored again. Learned so much from you. Not a mom yet, but never too early to learn. Yeah, I was so prepared by the time I had kids. I'd worked with kids for 20 years, I think, by the time I had mine. You get a leg up, gives you a huge advantage. Plus, I mentored troubled teens before my kids were teenagers. My son used to say we didn't stand a chance. I knew all the tricks. I feel guilty because I lose my temper sometimes. I try to take as much from you as I can. Yeah, you only lose your temper because you don't know what to do. It's your own frustration at yourself not knowing how to handle a situation. Once you know how to handle situations, you'll never yell or lose it again. Like you just go, okay, here's what I'm doing. I know how well this leadership works, so that's my go-to. I know very well that the quieter I am, the slower I talk, the more I say stuff like this, tell you what we're going to do, the better it works. So once you get into this leadership role, it just gets easy. But when you're learning, it's hard. Yeah. Most of my clients yell. Sometimes I'll get a client and I'll say, well, do you yell? Because it's always no yelling on the behavior board. By the way, my behavior board Did I even introduce myself? I don't remember. Anyway, my behavior board is completely free. It's on my website, and my course is out now. If you have 3 to 12-year-olds, teaches you how to be a calm leader. It's very inclusive. It goes through 5 weeks of it telling you exactly how to do it. You can't rush through it because I time it out. You get fed one different lesson per week. And then we have group coaching sessions once a week too. Worked great. I went through with my tester group and they did really well. And anyway, and now I've got people signed up, so it's good. But anyway, if you're interested in that, that's on my website too. Why was I talking about that? Why did I bring that up? My behavior board. I don't remember why I brought the behavior board up. Never mind. Should you be involved with your child at the behavior? Oh, at the behavior board, at the playground, or let them be on their own? Well, I was the mom rolling down the hill at the park with the kids. I like to enter their world as much as possible because that gives me a lot more power. Because I'm like sort of one of them. I'm in their world. The more they know that you're in their world, the more connected they feel to you. It's just the way it is. So I played in my kids' world a lot. I played on their terms, like I was on the floor playing with them a lot. Um, yeah. Oh, yelling, yelling, yelling. Yeah. All my clients yell. The odd time I'll get, like this is private coaching. And now with the course too. Most parents yell. So their rule is no yelling. It's always no yelling if you yell. The odd time I'll get a parent who says, yeah, I don't yell. This is me. Okay, well, your rule is no yelling. And they go, yeah, we don't yell. I'm like, oh, um, well, I will have to, like, it throws me right off. It's that rare that parents don't yell. It's that rare. I was never yelled at. My parents never yelled. I didn't yell, but it's rare. So if you yell, you're not alone. You're in very good company. Lots of parents yell. Most of them do. The only reason you yell is you don't know what else to do, and I teach you what else to do. What are some ways to stay calm and not yell when your kids are asked to do something and will not? Well, rely very heavily on that behavior board. It's a tool. It teaches you how to do something other than yelling. Um, yeah, behavior board. And that's free on my website, bratbusters.com. My 5-year-old says that I am mean. This occurs when I say no to something. How do I resolve? Resolve what? You're mean. I hate you. This would be if my kids had said something like that to me, because I said, no, you can't have that. And they said, you're mean. This would be my reaction. Whatever. Like, I'm not going to be manipulated by that stuff. Yeah, don't get manipulated. Just go, whatever. I was working with a client. God, she was so cute. She she was saying that I did the whatever. She goes, I don't know if I can pull it. And so we role played it. We role played back and forth to teaching her how to have this attitude. Like, you can say whatever you want to me. You can't manipulate me. That's the whole point of this. So she said she finally got it. And she turned to her kids when they were going, you're awful. I hate you. You hate me. And she went, whatever. And they went like this. And it shut them right up. They didn't know what to do. That was hilarious. I've tried multiple things and nothing will work. Well, most clients come to me, say, I've tried everything, nothing works. I've tried all your methods too, nothing. You just might need a different level. You might need one-on-one coaching. If that's the case, then that's fine. It's like saying no diet works. I've tried them all. Yeah, some of them do actually work. So it's like that. If your kids hit, you've got a 5-year-old who hits a lot, put down no hitting on the behavior board, and there's a consequence when he hits. So you always put no hitting. You don't put personality-based stuff on there, but you put violent stuff like hitting. So yeah. But you never put stop being snotty or stop being rude or you respect me. That's ridiculous. It's too broad of a term and it's ridiculous to put that. But hitting is something you definitely want to address. When I tell my child whatever he screams, that's his process. I always say that kind of stuff's none of your business. Let him sort through that. Let him sort through the fact that he can't manipulate you anymore. Let him figure that out. Let him scream. If you allow that to bother you, he is in charge, guaranteed. He screams because it's a learned behavior. He's learned that works with you. It's the only reason he'd be doing it. So yeah. And then I would only say it once. If he screams, I go, whatever. And he screams more, I would just keep doing when I'm washing my dishes, doing whatever. I might look over like this every so often. Like, oh, you're still at it. But be careful. Don't be snotty. Don't go like this. Like, don't be snotty about it. Just kind of acknowledge, yeah, I still see you, but whatever. This ain't going to work with me. That's the attitude you want to take. Do whatever you want. It's not going to, I'm in charge here. It just says he's in charge. That's all that says to me. Work on your leadership skills. My course is available now if you want. It's all about you. If you want to learn how to be a leader, it's on my website. Takes you through 5 weeks, and they get fed to you week by week. Parents say, "Well, can't I get all 5 weeks at once?" No, it doesn't work that way. I base that course on 17 years of coaching. I have pasted out exactly, like not pasted it, but PACED. I have paced that out exactly what works. The first 3 weeks are the behavior boards. The second, then the 2 weeks after that are in the moment discipline and how you get away from the behavior boards. But you just got it one behavior board at a time, and you're learning all this other stuff that goes along with it. So yeah, if you're, and then there's group coaching involved if you want that, because that's the age. If they're 3 to 12 years old, the course is for you. Okay. Should one parent be the disciplinarian or both? You can both do it, or one of you can do it. I was the disciplinarian in our household. Their dad was the treat master. He didn't like disciplining. It wasn't his thing, and it was my thing. I didn't want him messing up the kids. That's my job to discipline them, right? Because if he did it wrong, he might have messed them up. So, but what he used to do, we were on the same page. You don't have to be the leader. You don't both have to be leaders, but you have to be on the same page. So what he would do is if the kids ever pushed him, if I wasn't around, they were pushing him around, he would just say, "Do you want me to tell mom?" And that was up because I was the leader. So you only need one leader, but you both have to be on the same page. Like he wouldn't have gone behind my back and done something, or the odd time he would. Like I didn't like them having junk food. So sometimes he'd let them have something and they couldn't wait to get home and tell on dad. Guess what daddy let us do? Oh, they loved it. So yeah, it was fun. Is there a pre-parenting course? No, there isn't. No, pre-parenting course. God. Do you know that's something I'd really like to do? That's on my list. Because you know why? Because you could prevent all this. But yeah, not enough people think they need it. That's the problem. There's no money in it for me. It would be a lot of work and no reward, like no return. And I need to, when I'm putting out courses, I have to make money on it because it costs me money to have courses out there. So, because they're on platforms, right? And I pay for those. So not enough people would sign up. They're all signing up to Lamaze classes, learning how to give birth, which is 1 day of your life. Parenting's 18 years, and yet people don't think they need help until they need help. Do you know what I mean? Like they don't think about prevention. So if there was money in it and it could pay for itself, I would do it. But I just know it wouldn't be worth my time. It would take me a lot of time to put that together, and just wouldn't. You might be the only one, and you might not even sign up for it. So yeah, I've got to do what I can afford to do out there. What if I ignore my child, but my husband and mom, she watches them often don't? Okay, don't worry about your mom. In the household, though, they should never. You should never be undermined with your parenting when you're with your partner. So just cut a deal and say we're going to do it my way for 3 weeks, see if it works, and then if not, then we'll do it your way. 3-year-olds who bite, put no biting on the behavior board. Behavior board's free on my website. And I also have a course on that, but it does include 3-year-olds too. It's I call it toddlers who hit and kick and bite, but it does go up to about the age of 3. Yeah, like I said, you cut a deal, flip a coin. My way for 3 weeks. If it doesn't work, then we go your way with parenting. My daughter's 6 years old and very angry. Yeah, I know what's going on there. You're not a leader. Generally, that's what that is. It just says to me that you're not a leader, so you got to work on your leadership skills. When you're a calm, strong leader for your children, their emotions are very regulated. They don't tend to be angry. They tend to be really happy and have high self-esteem. They feel good about themselves when they've got a leader. So yeah, it just says to me that you're not a leader. So work on your leadership skills. Remember, they're just a reflection of your parenting. Their behavior is a reflection of your parenting. Their basic personality and their basic nature is not. They're born with that. But their behavior is a direct reflection, like pretty much 100% of your parenting. So work on your leadership skills. It regulates their emotions. They tend to be calmer. Just they know who they are. It's nice when you've got a leader. You have a direction to go in. You know what's expected of you. You respect someone and you feel respected. Because this leadership stuff I teach is about mutual respect. It's not the authority where it's my way or the highway at all. And it's also not the pleaser. I'll do whatever you want, just like me. That's the pleaser parent. That's the trend that's going on right now. And that's my nemesis with business. Okay. Well, your You're doing this to yourself here. Find myself letting my toddler be the leader instead of me because I feel guilty. I have to tend a baby. Yeah, guilt will get you. Let it go. Let the guilt go. Just do what you know is right because guilt is it's one of my biggest challenges in my business with clients is the guilt, and I see it every single day. And you can't have guilt with this. Like I didn't feel any guilt. I don't think like I didn't have any because I just I was very confident about what I was doing, so I didn't have any guilt. And if my kids weren't happy with me because I was laying down the law, I could have cared less. I was doing the right thing, so I could have cared less. It's you want to be popular, you want them to like you, all that stuff. Yeah, I could have cared less. Turns out that we were very close. We were very good friends. Kids and I got along really well because I was a leader. But you can't worry about if you're gonna, you just follow through and do the right thing and don't worry about what they think about you. It'll get you. That's the guilt. It gets you every single time. Well, you've already answered your own question. My 4-year-old doesn't listen. The first time I tell him to do something, I have to repeat it. If you're repeating it 3 or 4 times, he's in charge. I say something once, then I take action. Um, it's either a consequence or I do it and then there's a consequence. I asked you to make your bed, you didn't do it. Or the rule is you have to make your bed, you didn't do it. So now you're going to be making my bed for the next 2 days. Do you understand? That's how I do it. I don't repeat myself ever. Plus, there's just expectations. Be very, very predictable. My kids knew 100% exactly how I was going to react and behave with everything. They knew me inside out, upside down. They knew exactly what I was going to say, what I was going to do. I was so predictable. So they knew that they had chores. If they weren't done, they were going to be doing more chores the next day. Or they might lose TV privileges or something. So, but it was no big deal. It's no anger. It was just, that's just the way it is. I taught them to be accountable. I taught them that you got to do what you need to do before you can do what you want to do. It got to the point where they would never have even asked to watch TV until they'd done their homework, done their chores. Like they just knew that it was just easy. It just flowed. It just flowed because I was very consistent and very predictable. But when you've got that level of mutual respect going, you can let stuff go too. I might say, oh, that we were all up late one night or something, and I forgot it was their bedtime. And they say, oh, we better get to bed. And I say, whatever. Okay. What if they refuse the consequence chores? That's fine. Then you have the backup consequence. Remember, with kids, there's always 2 consequences. The first one is the positive action. If they won't do that, then you do the negative deprivation. You're taking something away. Something like 24-hour media blackout. So that's why there's two. If they won't do the first, then you take away something. How are your kids' personalities today? Well, they're 33 and 28. They're adults now. And I don't really discuss my kids as adults because that's their own private life and I don't pull them in, but I do talk about them when they were younger. It's all kind of, silly stuff usually. But yeah, I don't pull them into my business. What age did you start chores? They were 3. They had 3 things they had to do. They had to make their bed, put their laundry away, and put their toys away when asked or whatever. But yeah, and I'm a minimalist and I'm very organized. So, and I did laundry every single day, but I had a toy rotation system going. So there was like 5 toys to put away. Their bed was just a duvet or doona. In Australia, we called it a doona. They just had to pull it up. It could be messy. And I always had like an empty hanger where their clothes had to be or whatever, and an empty spot for their socks or whatever. And it took them literally, their chores took them under 2 minutes to do. And they were 3. So that's when it started. And they just learn. I say, and it would be something like this. Hey, we're going to go to the park as soon as you've done your chores. And they'd race and do them. It was no big deal. It took 2 minutes. But if you have a chaotic room and you're a maximalist with tons of toys everywhere, I wouldn't expect that with kids. That's on you. You got to get organized and make it doable. Set your kids up for success, not failure. So I set my kids up for success. I made their choice very, very easy, very doable, and age appropriate. So their dad is the leader. I have to tell them something multiple times. So how can I change that? As they get, okay, I was definitely the leader in our family. I was the disciplinarian, the leader. Although I didn't have to discipline them because I was the leader. When you're the leader, you don't even have to discipline them. But their dad would just say, do you want me to tell mom? That was his way of dealing with them. If he wanted them to do something, well, I'll have to tell mom you didn't do it. Worked out really well. Then when they get to about the age of 3.5 to 4 years old, they carry your leadership umbrella everywhere. So they didn't push dad around either. They just became self-disciplining, really. So that's your goal. So if you say the dad's the leader, is he just the authority or is he really a leader? Because a leader raises kids that respect everybody. Do you know what I mean? Like my kid's dad wasn't a leader, but if he asked them to do something, they would have done it because they were under my leadership. They tend to be formed from the leader. So is he really the leader? Is what I'm questioning there. Unless they're under 3. But by 3.5 to 4, they carry the leadership umbrella with everyone. They're just like that with everybody. It's just the way it works. Should we expect a 2-year-old to do something on the first ask and consequence if they don't? Not a 2-year-old. I'd need to know what it is. 2-year-olds are kind of one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. They're different. Yeah, I don't expect much from a 2-year-old. If they got 24-hour blackout again and did the behavior again, what do you do? Nothing. They're already in the media blackout. You don't do it again. The only time that you would, I don't even like telling people this because I don't want you to do it, rush to do it. If they're like 9 and over, sometimes I'll do 48-hour blackout. So they've got the 24-hour media blackout and I'll say, look, if you do that again, or if you keep coming at me because they're yelling at you, you keep at me and I'll double it and I'll make it 2 days of media blackout. What are you going to do? Then if they keep at you, then I would say, that's it, 48-hour media blackout. But boy, I don't like doing that one because then you got 2 days of hell. You got nothing else to do with them. And, but yeah, I don't like to do that one. It's very rare that I'll recommend that one. But yeah, you just got to suck it up, basically. They're already got the consequence. Just, oh, well, you keep doing it. That's up to you. Like they'll eventually learn. It's a slow burn with all this stuff. They're not going to learn in 1 week. They're going to learn maybe 3 to 6 months down the road, depending on the age, right? It's a slow burn. You got to keep at this. You got to keep doing it. They will eventually learn. It's not the first week. Parents the expectations of all this is just so out of whack. It's like dieting. You don't want to lose 20 pounds and expect to lose it in a week, right? It's a slow burn. You got to work at it. You're building habits. You're building a lifestyle. This is habits and lifestyle. Sorry. Just checking my email. Just a sec here. I was just waiting to hear from someone. I might have to go. Nope, it's okay. Okay. How do you give a toy back when you take it away? Oh, this is okay. So the toddler hits with a toy, you take it away, and then how do you give it back to them? This is really important. You don't remind them of what they did wrong. Yeah, you just don't. So, because they've already learned the lesson. So what you do is let's say they hit and you say no, and then you take that toy away, you put it where they can see it. So let's say for an hour. Then an hour goes by. Don't worry about how they've acted or what. They might have a fit the whole hour. That's fine. But when they calm down, you don't give it back to them when they're mad. If they're still, oh, I want it, never give it back to them when they're in that mode. Anyway, you try and distract them, sort of do other things. You might want to read a book. And then maybe an hour later, then you say, okay, and here's your toy. But don't make it a big deal. Just say, okay, and here's your toy back. And then just see what they do. They do it again, you take it away, put it back. Put it back. Keep doing it. They learn through repetition. There's no big lesson. It's lots of little ones. Oh, that's a good way of putting it. I'm going to write that one down. Toddlers aren't about one big lesson. Lots of little ones. Good way of putting it, actually. Wish I'd thought of that sooner. Okay. What's the first step to gaining leadership? It depends on the age, but usually it's listening. Listening is really, really, really important. You listen to understand and then stop talking. You do not give advice once you've listened to your kid tell you something. You just go, oh, that's interesting. But if they ask, what should I do? I would never say, this is what you should do. I used to say, well, I don't know. Let's figure it out. And we'd talk about it. I wanted them to become problem solvers. So you listen to understand. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with. That's the old-fashioned authority parent. It just doesn't build rapport in the teenage years. When you get good at this, listening to understand, not listening to gather information to lecture with. When you get good at this, when they're teenagers, they'll tell you everything. If they want your advice, they'll ask. They're more likely to tell you everything, plus ask your advice. And then even then say, I don't know, let's figure it out together. Like my mom never told me what to do. And I never told my kids what to do. Or it was very rare anyway. So it was more like, well, let's figure it out. So I would say listening is one of the number one parenting skills, and consistency. Be predictable. I was 100% predictable. My kids knew exactly how I was going to react to everything all the time. Like they would never have asked for something if they knew the answer was going to be no. And they would have known ahead of time if the answer is going to be no. Also, as they get older, allow them to negotiate. Like they might have said something like, and they said this, I said, in the moment, never argue with me, because they knew that. But I'd say afterwards, you can always come back at me and say, I didn't like the way you handled that. I think you were a bit unreasonable. And I go, you're right. Okay, what can I do to make it up to you? So we go out for ice cream or something. So yeah, be negotiable too, but they have to be respectful when they're doing that. And this is as they get older. Can we discipline other behaviors that are not in the behavior board? No, not when you're learning this. Not at all. You just suffer through it. I know, oh God, I got this client once. How long was that email? Oh my goodness. I would say if you were to fill up with typing a sheet of paper, it would have been 2 of these. Full single space typing of everything they wanted me to help them with parenting in one session. Everything. All the problems that they had, everything in one session. And I said, and then I picked one. I said, we're going to deal with this one in one session. And I said, because we're teaching you how to be a leader. We're not fixing kids. We're teaching you how to be a leader. And the way we do that is through the behavior board. 1 rule per week. You perfect that behavior board with that 1 rule. Then week 2, now you've got 2 rules. Week 3, now you've got 3. You see how you're stacking? You're stacking them up. You're getting better at it. You're getting more confidence. Then week 4, then we start getting rid of the behavior boards and we start doing in the moment. That's when we get to everything. In the moment discipline. Then week 5, then we wrap it up. That's how the course works anyway. And coaching, if you hire me for 5 sessions, that's how it goes. The first 3 weeks are just 1 rule, then 2 rules, then 3 rules on the behavior board. Everything else, just let it go to crap. I don't care. All you're focused on is that you're teaching the kids, you know how to follow through with that 1 rule. You're only learning 1 at a time, right? It's like if you're learning how to fly. I don't know why. I've never flown. I don't know why I always use this. But you're learning how to fly. Flying instructor. He might show you 2 instruments in the plane in your first session. And then you might say, well, yeah, but I wanted to fly. Well, no, we're teaching you 2. You don't know anything about any of the other instruments, but you know those 2 dials, and that's it. You perfect those 2 dials, you understand, and the next time you learn 2 more. It's like that. Because you're learning how to be a pilot, and you're learning how to be a leader. We're not fixing the plane. We're not fixing kids. We're fixing you. Ooh, someone came in hard here. I asked my kids to return the key to the front door. They will not receive it back until they have learned to respect my home. I don't know what's going on there, but that's the authority parent talking. I don't teach that. Absolutely driving me nuts on keeping the room clean. I have to ask every couple. Yeah, no, I don't do that. What you've done is they're out of control, then you come in too hard and you're not getting this till you do that. You come in with a threat. I don't do that. Sounds like they might be a bit older. Like, yeah, if you want my help, you're going to have to hire me for that. I don't do that. Do you have the same parenting skills as your mom? My parents were older. They let a lot more go than I did. They weren't as demanding on me. Like I was more demanding of my kids, for sure. I was stricter, but very similar. I was never yelled at. My parents are very calm. I could tell, I told my mom everything. And my dad died when I was younger, which was unfortunate. He was the treat master. Like my ex-husband was more the treat master. My mom was the leader for sure. And I told her everything. She was my best friend. And yeah. It was similar in that, you know what I hated with my mom? Oh, I couldn't stand this. Is if I did something she didn't like, I hated this. She'd look at me like this. That I would just shrivel. Like I just hated disappointing my mom. I hated it because I looked up to her and I just couldn't handle that. If she was sitting down, I'd get it like this. She always seemed to have it like this. She'd go like this. That was all it took. She never really disciplined me. It was just that look. Oh, I hated disappointing my mom. I respected her. I looked up to her. And she was my best friend. So that's what I had that with my kids for sure. I had mom's look. It's all it took was, "Are you kidding me?" I would do it more like this, "Are you kidding me with that?" And then, "Oh, sorry, mom." So also, do you wait for them to calm down before you tell them to do the positive action? You go right to the behavior. Yeah, you can't deal with kids who are having a fit. You just wait till they calm down and say, let's go to the behavior board. No, I hate your guts. They run in their room and slam the door. This is me. So anyway, I'm talking to myself at this point. So anyway, the rule was this, and you're always going to the behavior board. It's giving you clout. It's giving you leadership. It's showing that things are changing. It's a symbol of change, a symbol of your leadership. Okay, so you're going to do that. And then you go in their room and say, okay, so the consequence was this. I want you to within 10 minutes, you have to vacuum the kitchen or whatever. Okay. So then you just, okay, 10 minutes starts now. Then you just completely ignore them. Beep, beep, 10 minutes is up. Okay, the vacuuming wasn't done. So 24-hour media blackout starts now. Do you understand? Not you, but you say that to the kid. Do you understand? They have a fit. None of your business. That's on them. All they had to do was not break the rule in the first place. Then they even had a second chance. All they had to do was vacuum the kitchen. They didn't even do that. Now you've had to go to the 24-hour media blackout. They'll learn. It's going to be one hell of a couple of weeks, but they'll learn. It's worth it. So what do you do in week 4? You're asking me about in the moment discipline, aren't you? I don't like to talk about that because you got to perfect the first 3 weeks first. You got to perfect that. In the moment discipline. I never used a behavior board. I addressed everything all the time. So that's the in the moment discipline. But I already had the leadership skills. Once you set yourself up as a leader, you don't need the behavior board anymore. Let me think. I'll give you an example, but you're going to want to do this right away, and it's kind of jumping the gun here. So let's say, oh well, I know. I'll tell the pool story. The pool story is a good one. Anyone can do this. The pool story is actually my absolute favorite story. It's a true story, and it has so many different levels in it. It's in the moment discipline. It was someone else's kid. Anyway, we had a pool in the backyard, and it was my son's, I think his 8th birthday. So there was 5 boys that he had invited to his birthday party, and it was just me. So my husband had taken our daughter out. She was younger. So anyway, it was just me watching 6 little boys in a pool. So all I'm doing is counting heads. And I'd said to them, we had this giant blow up whale. And I said, Whaley cannot go in the pool because I can't see behind him. I could lose 3 kids drowning behind Whaley, right? So I said, he's not allowed in the pool, but I didn't want to take the air out of him because we didn't have a pump and we'd have to blow it up. So I said, he's over there, just don't touch Whaley. Sure enough, one of the kids brought Whaley into the pool. Now, this is how I dealt with it. I didn't say please or anything. He'd already crossed a line with me. So I said to him, I said, I want Whaley out of the pool now. And he said to me, no. My son instantly went like this. He thought, he knew mom knew how to take care of business. He was going to enjoy the show. So I had that kid out of the pool, sitting beside me. I went in fully clothed. He was sitting beside me on this little bench, before he even knew what happened. I had him out of that pool. And then I said, you're going to sit here for 10 minutes now. And then I continued to count 5 heads, and I had this kid sitting here. He was kind of in shock, anyway, but he knew me. I'd already worked at the school. They all knew me. I was at the school all the time helping out. So then I didn't talk about what he did. I wouldn't do that. You'll understand at the end why I wouldn't do that. Anyway, so then I'm talking, hey, I saw you play soccer the other day. You got a goal. It was really good. I remember the other day, I helped you out with that test. I hear you did really well on that. And so what are you going to do for the rest of the day? What are you going to do tomorrow and all that? And he's chatting. The 10 minutes is up. And I said, okay, 10 minutes is up. You can go back in the pool. He kept talking to me. At this point, I was bored out of my mind talking about all, all 8-year-old boy stuff. And I wanted to just sit and watch these kids. And I'm still counting heads. And then he kept talking. And I said, okay, how about you hop back in the pool now? I would not say to him, and don't bring Whaley again. Why would I not do that? Why would I not harp on what he did wrong? Because then I'm harping on the bad kid. Instead, I'm trying to bring out the good kid. I'm trying to make him feel good about himself. Also, I'm setting myself up as someone. I'm a leader. I know how to take care of business. And I'm bonding with him. Okay? He could not have been nicer to me the rest of the day. Not only did he not take Whaley in the pool, he's helping me get the cake out. He was all over me the rest of the day. I set myself up as a leader. Now, who was that? Was that him or me? Was I fixing him or was I a leader? What was it? Was he all fixed? When his mom came to pick him up, he was rotten to her. So was it him? Did I fix him? We don't fix kids. But Was he good with me? Yes. Because I made him feel good about himself. I bonded with him and I corrected the behavior. So anyway, that's leadership. There's no way I would use a behavior board because I know how to do this in the moment stuff. That behavior board I invented to teach parents how to do this. You start one rule at a time, one thing at a time. You don't have to think about it. It's already up there. It's decided for you. It organizes you. You're just learning how to do this. Once you start getting that leadership and respect with the kids after 3 weeks, then you can do that pool. You can do that pool thing right now though. But you got to have the body language, the tone of voice. You got to no anger, no emotions. It's business. It's just business. So that's a really good example of what you do after the behavior board. And then you just get better at it because you don't want to be disciplining all the time. They just don't act out with you. They just want to please you. When you're a good leader, they like themselves when they're with you and you're the source of that high self-esteem. So they want to please you because they feel great about themselves when they're with you. You don't just want them to feel good about you. You want them to feel good about themselves. That's the key here. It's not about it. No one wants to be impressed. It's not about impressing them. It's about making them feel good about themselves. Guiding them into the light, guiding them into making good decisions. Does that make sense? But yeah, if I had said to him, now you shouldn't have taken Whaley in the pool. He's getting worse and we're down and depressed and miserable. I think it's mean. I think it's cruel. It's as mean as timeout is. It's all negative. I don't do that. I deal with it and then it's positive. But he's still sitting there for 10 minutes. Actually, it was more like 12. I couldn't get rid of him. Okay. We are parenting the same, but he only listens to dad. Then you're not a leader. You're missing something there. Something's missing. Parents always say this to me. We've tried everything. Nothing works with this kid. This kid's different. And I'm like, well, I've worked with hundreds of kids and I've been able to get respect with all of them, troubled teens included. So it's you. It's always you. It's never the kid, unless they've got autism potentially or some other disability. Not that autism is a disability, but it's a challenge. But they might have something else going on, or crisis or abuse situations too. They're different too. I deal with that in my job, but I never discuss that on here. Yeah, if you're a leader, they listen to you. They just do. So your husband could be parenting through fear, um, like the authority parents through fear and intimidation, and the pleaser works for the short term but backfires big time later on. And the authority builds resentment in the teen years. But if you're going to err on either side, the pleaser is the trend right now. If you're going to err on either side, become the authority. Even though they build resentment, they raise tougher, stronger individuals. The pleaser raises self-entitled youths who, they tend to have mental health issues. That's 25, 30 years ago when this trend came out, this style came out, exactly what I said. They're going to mental health issues out the wazoo because they used to having the red carpet rolled out for them. Let's discuss all your emotions. Every single feeling needs to be validated. It's just, it doesn't. Channeling your inner masculine. What does that mean? As we have both feminine and masculine within. I wouldn't call it that. My mother was very much the leader too, and she wasn't masculine. I'm not masculine. I think it's very much confidence. But confidence, I guess, maybe you're equating to being a man. I think women can be confident too. I constantly have to remind him to pick up his towel, plates, anything. Well, then put it on the behavior board. You have to clean up after yourself, but be very, very, very specific. Towels have to go here. Plates have to go there. Within 5 minutes of being used, they can never end up on the towel can never end up on the floor. You got to be extremely specific when you're using that behavior board. Can't be general. Just clean up after yourself. It has to be, you have to do this and that and this and that. And then there's a consequence if they don't. Actually, it's been an hour now. I really have to get going. If you look on my website, it's bratbusters.com. You can hire me for coaching, buy one of my courses, or download my free behavior board. And I also have that new courses out there. It's available now. It's 5 weeks. It's got the first 3 weeks are the behavior boards. Then the other 2 are the in the moment discipline. We're moving away from the behavior boards, and it has weekly group coaching in it too. And that's what's so fun about it is you guys get to see each other too. So anyway, that's all on my website now under courses. And what was I going to say? That's it. I'm going to get going. So should I take the course now, 15 months, or should I wait until she's 3? You wait until she's 3. I'm going to have a toddler one out. Not a toddler course. I just talked about this. I'm just going to do a test here and try this out. In the next couple of days, I'm going to get on my website. It's going to be called Toddler Talk. And it's just going to be an hour session, a group coaching session on Zoom, $50, just a one-off. You can sign up for whenever you're available. And I won't be pre-recorded. I won't be recording those ones. They'll just be live, and we'll just be doing a Zoom together. So you can sign up for that. And I'm just going to ask you what you want from me. What are your biggest problems? You can see each other discussing parenting problems too with toddlers. So I'm going to start that up. I'm just going to test the market and see what you want from me. And the other one, I did all that with that other course, that bigger course out there. And that one went beautifully. So people are enjoying that. So anyway, that's it for now. So I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye now.